What's going on, everyone? Welcome your beautiful smiles and faces to Behind DETHKAST 2, the only show where we pull the curtain back and sink our teeth into the history and behind the scenes of the world's only Metalocalypse in-universe podcast. I'm Dr. ZeroOmens, but you could just refer to me as ZeroOmens or Zero or Jonathan, whatever floats your boat. Today, I'm joined once again by the mad lads behind this brutal series. You know them, you love them, you've probably listened to them all the time. It's Lucian, Dustin, and Tom. Guys, what the hell is happening? It's been a hot minute since we talked.
Yeah, when's the last time we even did this? I don't remember.
About a year ago. About a year ago now, I think.
I was living in Chicago still.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. Let me look. Oh my God. Yeah, it's been about that long. Dear Lord. A lot has happened in our personal lives since then. But with the show, I think so much more has even happened. Like, I can't wait to get a little more into it as we keep going, but I'll just tell you from the last time we talked, because I remember the last time we did this episode, we were just now talking about how, like, 47 and 616 become cyborgs, and that was kind of the big tease at the end of the episode. And now you think of everything that's kind of happened since then, and all the other shows. It's just been wild. So thank you for hosting this, and thanks for kind of having us back on to talk about it, man.
Of course. Well, I appreciate you guys letting me back on to host another episode. Despite being a bit out of my comfort zone in the first interview, I had a ton of fun kicking back, relaxing, and picking at your brains to see how the gears of DETHKAST turn and operate. And so I'm just ecstatic to have another opportunity to not only see what's been going on since the first interview dropped, but to also hear where you guys plan on going in the future with this.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, yeah, thanks for having us on here, man. Happy to be here. More than, but yeah, no, it's like I said, well, besides all the formalities, we're definitely very excited to see where, without getting too far ahead, now with well, there's been a conclusion to the series before, and then they announced another movie, and this thing keeps on living. So yeah, no, we're excited. We got plenty of things we'll dig into about where we plan to go without doing any spoilers, but kind of giving actually more brevity. Because I remember in the last episode that you had us on, we were like, I mean, we have no intention of stopping, but that's an open-ended statement. So we're willing to dig into it, and then I'm actually happy because I know, Tom, you were in this last one too, but you have become over the seasons like a bigger and bigger and bigger, and like now you're the main part of this just as much as any other cog in the wheel. So
oh, for sure,
we're very happy to have you as being a part of the team, like since the first episode at this point, and have you grow with us. So it's cool to have you here too, so we can kind of you're the brain. I don't know shit.
Yeah, to be honest, like for those people who don't know what Tom does for DETHKAST, Tom joined at the very end of one. Tom messaged me and was like, hey, can I get on this? And I was like, do a voicemail. Because that's all I had time. I was literally in the final mix. And you were like messaging me and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I want another voice on this. And since then, since part 2, Tom has been instrumental in a lot of the direction and the narrative in the world of DETHKAST. And like, his writing has led us to certain spots I don't think we were even planning on going. Like, I'm specifically thinking of part 3.5, Tom.
In a good way.
But it's been fun. Like, I love the journey, and I love getting to collaborate with you and make this world together. And I'm just so happy to celebrate it. We actually are celebrating DETHKAST Day on May 1st this year, which is the first day that DETHKAST 1 came out, so it's the first day of the show. It'll be the second year in May. So this thing's been it's grown further than I think any of us expected it to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it went from one voicemail to just, I mean, y'all just kept saying yes and I hate improv, but that was cool for, working forward and getting this shit out of my head. And when we met Brendan Small and Gene Hoglan, the only thing I could tell them was they were my antidepressant for the past 17 years. And this shit has become my culmination of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it kind of became therapy for all of us in our own ways. And I know like you've gone through some dark and some light times since you started being on this show. And like through it all, I think working on it is just kind of a healthy outlet for all of us, like no matter what we're going through. And it's fun to know that like this show has grown into a community. So it's a community of people that are here for each other. And
it's the biggest part of our Discord.
Yeah, for sure. Like 99% of the people that are here are just like, hey, I love Deathcast. What's new with it? And they just want to know. And like, not everyone necessarily wants to like have their voice on it, but we love everybody in the Discord that supports it, that shares it, that listens to it, that gives feedback. Like it's kind of become the lifeblood of the podcast, to be honest.
Absolutely, man. Well, again, yeah, thanks for
being here. The other shows are good.
All the shows are good, but this show has been
I like the other shows.
Crazy. Yeah, I like them too. I'm not saying they're bad, but this is the one that I think everyone is like, holy shit, I'm mad at myself for not having this idea. Like there's been multiple people that are like, that's what I hate about this show, is that I didn't think of it. And I'm just like, that means you got something good, man. Like that's a standalone tested time thing. And I'm just happy that we could even provide something like that to a community that had been so undernourished for 15 years.
Truth.
That is nationwide, because I just moved to Arkansas, and wearing my hoodie, I have been stopped at least 4 times, twice at Walmart, with people going, holy shit, is that a Death Clock hoodie? And yeah. I'm like, yeah. And there's more content.
That's awesome.
Just saying.
Hell yeah. So Zero, what do you got for us today? What questions? Where are you going to dig? What do you want to know? What can we tell you today? I'm curious.
Oh, we're going deep today. Let's just jump right into it.
All right.
The last time you guys had a Deathcast out was July of 2023. So it's been a while since we last heard from 616 and 47. What can we expect to hear this time around? How are the boys doing in their cyborg state? From what I remember, the guys were dealing with a lot of piss problems, if you will, if I'm remembering correctly. I hope at least they've been adjusting well to their new hardware over the last few months.
I have not.
Since the last.
No, not at all. It's been utter hell for 616 and 47. It's been hinted at so much, we might as well just say it. Their dicks were switched, so they're kind of having to deal with that, and like the weird relationship drama that comes with like owning another guy's piece. So it's just awkward for them when they go to the public bathroom together, but they're also having like malfunctioning parts and like can't adjust to their super strength on certain part. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it's never a normal day for 616 and 47, man.
Not once. Like I said, kind of like what's coming up. Well, we don't want to spoil anything, but it's very much, I mean, like we are at this point, for fans of the series, trying to essentially do like a great homage to like the 2 outliers of the show, where being as it's like a metal opera for going through Requiem, and then having Army of the Doomstar come out, thank God, and not be a musical of sense, but also do just as much brevity and like bringing things together and kind of tying apart a story, and also being so long apart, which means obviously we're going to work our way into Army of the Doomstar, which will be the second half after we get through the first part of it, which we're going to combine into 2. So the first part of this next episode will be all about essentially the metal opera. And then after that, we'll dig into the latest movie, because they do kind of coincide story-wise. And again, if you're listening to this, if you haven't watched the movie listening to this, like, what the hell? Like, who are you? But more importantly, like, we felt it was important for these big 2 these big 2 movies that they put forth to be kind of conjoined into one story. And so we're going to do our best to do homage to what the story is, and do the documentary style part of it that we've always kind of clung to. Very much so at the very first episode, like any good thing that you put forward, listening back, I mean, it's the most viewed thing that we have, and obviously people love it, but like listening back, I'm like, oh God, I didn't even know how to do this character at that point. And like, it's very focused on doing the documentary like a podcast, compared to Tom's writing and the stories that we have, where like I bang a robot, and now I have permanent chest tattoos, and now we're robots, and like all this other shit that's going on. we really wanted to do, like I said, homage to finishing the story the way that Brendan Small and the creators intended to, and still give it the podcasting that it needs. But then also, the only hint I guess I'll give is to also like finish our story, because we've had, you know, like we're protagonists, if you want to call it that, but also like we've had antagonists in our show so far, and the myriad of characters that we've had beef with, which is essentially every caller. And so we're doing our best to that's why it's also taken so long, especially because the movie just came out this year, to really tie a 2-part story together where we can kind of finish the saga and finish our saga. But then also, like we've said earlier, and I won't shy away from it, we're not done. So how do we tie these 3 ideas, like give finality to things, but then also imply in a good way that we're going to continue the story and there's plenty more to be done. So that's kind of where we're at with the next one. And yeah, there's never a fucking normal day for us. Not once.
As I say that, as he says that, I'm literally like answering work voicemails and like messages that people are like, hey, how do I do this? So it's like, dude, not only has life for the Klokateers gotten crazy as fuck lately, but like life for us has gotten nuts. So much has changed in our lives in the last 8 months that like we don't work on the same pace that we used to. Because guys, I don't know if you remember this, but like it was very militant when we started. I had like 2 weeks to do this. You do 2 weeks to do that. We got 2 weeks to do this, and then next week we'll get it out. Because I was like, I want to do this on a schedule. And then after 2. We did 1, and then we did 2 in a month after that, and it was twice as big. And me and Dustin were both like, like, okay, we need to take a fucking break and like space this shit out. And now, like you've asked, like it's been since July 2023. Yeah, so much has changed, dude, for us and for the Klokateers. So I can't wait to show people what's changed and kind of like show them how we're gonna do things. So stay tuned for Doomstar Saga, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh yeah, and I imagine slowing down has maybe helped you guys a little bit with like being creative with the series and stuff.
Well,
yeah,
right.
I guess I would honestly lay that test. I don't want to interrupt, but I would lay that question to Tom in specific, because, like you were saying at the beginning, it was very boom, 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 boom. But I mean, I guess without even asking a question, just to do the segue, but like Tom, has the bigger gaps in time, life and personal stuff aside, I've noticed that, like, again, we've really made, like, when you jumped in, we made much more intricacy and like bigger skits to the series. So I mean, has it given you more time? And like, I guess also you could just give people a bit of a background of kind of like where you get a lot of your shit from, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that initial backbreak pace that we had was something that actually was perfectly timed for me to get out of a crazy depression. Just, you know, to be honest, getting my brain out of my headspace and into Brendan's, and just kind of, you know, you live with the lines each day. You hear the phrases over and over, albums 1 through 3, just kind of on a repeat. So getting that initial one out, and then just, I mean, I did edit, but not gonna lie, if you look back from my initial drafts and whatnot, we didn't change much.
No.
And I was going a little bit more free form. I would finish like a like a 15-minute bit in you know, maybe 3 hours, 3-4 hours.
That's impressive.
That's not a brag. That's just, you know, finally finding some way to just, I put just some noise in and was able to get things out. And now with the space in between, you know, life is death is death. So it's been ability, which I need your fucking beanie. I love it, man. Dusty, that's Killer.
The death saves. Yeah, I got the D&D
Yes.
representation, as we do. We're all big dorks, obviously. But no, that's great, Tom. I'm glad. I like it, and I don't want to interrupt you again, but that's great that, like, again, I think a lot of people that, you know, especially like us, like, it's great to find purpose in things and to be able to have those things then drive you to make content and be artistic and be creative. I mean, I think in any industry or any walk of life, whether you make the metal music or you make a podcast about it, if you can find something that you can really dig into headspace and get you out of a funk, whether it's out of a funk or on your spark, either way, I think you've since day one have really been not just supportive, obviously, but supportive of our time frame and our ambitions in the same way. And it's obvious. It's obvious that it kind of got you onto that spark because you responded right back with us the entire time. And so it's been awesome to meet you and do all these kind of stuff like with you. But really what I wanted to ask then is, like, dude, how the fuck do you come up with some of this stuff?
Dude, yeah. I was going to say this. Tom lives in like this ethereal realm where like he'll just connect these weird dots that none of us see coming. Like the 555 interview with the 666 weeks, and it had been that exact same time from the episode we were referencing in the interview. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, how did you think of this? And you mapped it out that way because we told him when we were recording, and it like just so happened to like fall within that range. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you are on another level, and I don't know how you do it. Good question, Dusty.
Well, that shit, I'll be frank, that was some Bob Ross shit. That was straight up happy accident. I was just, I'm writing it out, and I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if it were like 666 weeks? Holy shit, well, let me wiki when that fucking episode aired.
How many weeks ago?
Like, how many weeks ago was this?
Oh my God, boys, we could do it.
And then I think I called you within an hour of me figuring that out and then writing it in.
And then it was followed by another hour of us just going on the phone for like 30 minutes. Like, that was most of the conversation. So I remember that. I think, some of it is happy accidents, but you go to another level, man. Like, you connect shit, and you know how to write for me and Dusty so well.
That's what I wanted to say, like, too, is it sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, you've gotten it to a point where, like, we never have to proofread your shit. I can literally just go, write this if you want, and put your spin on it, and you will. And it's like, I trust your skills so much that there is no second draft. Like, if we're changing anything, it's like maybe a few things, like on how we said it or how we delivered it.
I'll ad-lib here and there.
But. Yeah, and we'll ad-lib a little to make more context, but...
Rightfully so, I'll let you guys, everyone know that they have put me in my place, rightfully so.
A few times,
the good feedback. Because, an unfettered mind will go places.
Yeah.
We would have gone farther if anybody allowed it.
I think it was the Squo Active Skincare ad, and there was like a couple things about it, and me and Anastasia had to like have a fucking meeting with you. It was like a come to Jesus meeting. We were like, listen, I love you, but this one thing, I'm like, we can't do that.
Well, it was fun. You guys thought, you were being sensitive about it, and you needed to like approach it. And I do thank you, but you could have easily just said, hey, let's find another route. Because that's really what it boils down to, is like the if I find a punchline or an ending or something that it hits that meta sweet spot, then I will think of that and then just kind of write into it that way. And it really just boils down to kind of connecting puzzle pieces. Like, I will let you know that majority of 3.5 was written in a fugue state. I wrote The Numismatist over the course of 9 hours while I was in a hospital ER with a broken rib.
I remember this.
I do.
And I was like, why are you writing right now? Like, you care that much about this show? He's just like, no, I got to keep myself busy. I'm like, all right. And you really do. I think that's probably the key to this, Dusty, is he uses these writings as like therapy. and you use this show in like the best possible way to like get out all the stuff you need to get out, and you do it in such a fun way that like it makes it mean so much more. Like, I'm always excited for your interviews.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys make it easy to write for. And also, it's been fun writing for not necessarily somebody in mind, too, which, you know, some of the other voice actors have nailed, because y'all bring the vibe to it, because that really is what it boils down to. Words can be words, but you can say the same shit 10 times over and get different results.
100%.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, Zero.
But really, it's just I'm a theater of the absurd, and that's how I live.
Let's quit sucking each other off. Zero, what do you got for me?
Well, after we worked on the first Behind Deathcast, which, again, I think was roughly a year ago at this point, Army of the Doomstar finally released about half a year later. So I just kind of wanted to quickly and slightly shift the focus from this episode away from Deathcast for just a couple seconds to ask you guys collectively, you know, if the film was exactly how you imagined it. Like, I know, Lucian, you and Anastasia discussed the film right when it came out, and I also know that you and Dustin reviewed the latest album. But since 5 or 6 months have passed since the conclusion released, and I guess if you want to call it a honeymoon phase has passed, how does everyone in here feel now? Like, has the movie aged well in the last few months since it's released? Do you always go back to it every so often? And of course, does Death Album 4 still hold up after a few months? Yeah,
I'll let you guys answer that first.
Sure. I guess to break it apart. Yeah, I think it's still, if you want to ask it, it still holds up. After a few times through, I mean, I have a couple of, but it's, at the end of the day, I'll put it this way. It's a cartoon, and it's meant to have a certain pace. It's meant to have a certain timing, even though it's a movie. And there's always been this silliness. And there's a fine line to walk when you're trying to do silly and serious. I mean, like, one of my favorite silly and serious is like Shaun of the Dead. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain areas where shit gets really real and it's really sad, but then there's also the rest of it's like in between. There's still just quips and jokes and 1 and 2s. Like, it's
right.
So to walk that line, especially with something that's a cartoon, is you have the ability to be weird. So I would say that, yeah, as a fan of the series and the show, after watching it a few times, and even now, without being like, oh my God, it's finally here. Like, now that that's passed and I still just watch it, yeah, like, I think it's great. I mean, for me personally, I didn't think it was weird necessarily. I was just like, how Nathan's so very standoffish the entire time at the beginning and like wants to marry this girl. Like, I see where like all of this stuff came into fruition for script, but I don't know. It always felt like he's supposed to be he's the dad, as we know, all of that stuff like that comes out of the movie. But I don't know. And I guess it makes sense, but I just thought it was very, like, to start the movie that way was very kind of like off-putting, because it's like, fuck all of you, fuck every one of this, fuck everything. And it's like, that's very much the vibe always, but it threw me off because I was like, but why? Like, at what point? Like, I know that you could have celebrity and you can have the Axl Rose I show up only when I want to kind of moment, but I don't know. That always hits me weird whenever I watch it, because it puts you into a funk almost immediately because there's conflict right off the top, and maybe it's the point. But yeah, it was always kind of like, I don't want to say too heavy. It was just, if there is a qualm I have, I wouldn't know how to fix it. I wouldn't know how to rewrite it. Because at the end of the day, like, it all makes a lot of sense and it welds its well perfectly. It just seems like when you're watching a movie and it's like, so who's this person and why are they, what is that? Like, when plots moves really fast because you're crammed into a certain amount of time and you really don't understand why the character would have that motivation. I always feel that at the kind of the beginning, like, why is this guy so fucking mad about everything? Like, at the same time, like, or obviously that's his whole character, but this aggressively. And then you realize, obviously, like, he's having these like hauntable dreams essentially where he's just not himself and it's all bad. But that would be like my only, like, kind of puts me wrong. But the rest of it, I think the music holds up. I think the plot finishes the way that it should. It gives exactly what fans of the series want in a good way, and not just fan service like, oh no, yeah, this is that good stuff. This is exactly what I came back for. And lastly, to kind of break apart the last portion of it, the album, yeah, we did like the Death album reviews and we ranked them. We did all of them. They're on our Patreon. Plug. But like we ranked them back to fourth, and at no point did we think this was ever a bad album, a bad project.
No.
In fact, it ranks highly with both of us, and across from what we've been able to gather in our Discord and just other friends that love it. Yeah, I do think that they came back, and it's obvious that they cared because, like the show has, they're on tour right now, and then Lucian's going back to see him again. And I know, Tom, you met him there at the VIPs. Like, they're going out with something that they truly believe they can tour on, and that's where I'll finish anyways.
Hey, gonna drop the news. We're gonna go see you in Kansas City.
Are you going?
Yeah, man.
Let's go!
Fuck yeah. Did you guys get meet and greets again?
We're not doing meet and greet, but we are doing sound check.
Well, fuck yeah. We'll see you in GA too. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, man.
Dude, this is awesome. Yeah.
Necrogoblicon and Dragon Force too.
I know. I couldn't miss that.
And
This
here's a
tour is
little-
even better. I was like, what the fuck?
Here's a little back scene behind the scenes. We my wife and I did drive to Omaha to finally meet you fuckers
In
Yep.
person.
and we saw that. Yes, in person.
Yeah, we all
And,
met Brendan and Gene together and partied and hung out. It was a good time, man. I can't wait to see you guys again in KC.
Yep.
Hell yeah,
That
we're gonna
was
have to party.
Yeah.
We got an Airbnb too.
Let's go!
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'll be
But
awesome.
yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, that's going to be fucking cool. And I love that our community still sticks together through stuff like that. Like, we're going to make the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
if we're anything, we're resilient. But to answer your question, Zero, I think the movie, for me, like, when I first watched it, I had totally different ideas for the ending. And I thought it was going to be something completely different. So when they killed off the army of the Doomstar, I was like, what? There's like no more Klokateers. Like, that kind of made me question our show, and I was kind of worried about it. And like, to not just to make it about the show, but that was just on my mind while I was watching it. But making it about the fans was so awesome, and I think I didn't see that coming at all, to be honest. Like, I didn't see anything about the Army of Doomstar being the fans, or like really even get that kind of vibe for the first part of the movie until like you kind of go back and like, oh wait, they're setting this up. Like, you could kind of smell it from the beginning once you know it. But I think the movie holds up. I think the ending is beautiful. I think having the ending is amazing, but the only thing that I do not like is I would have liked somewhat of a backstory on Silesia. Some kind of origin story where we know exactly who he is, or get a look at where he comes from, or even more of a general vibe. Because some people are like, oh, he's the devil. I'm like, no, he's fucking not. Like, they clearly met the devil in the Blues Clock episode, so he's not the devil. But like, he's this otherworldly being that came here and is composed of multiple spirits. It's like, I would have liked a little bit more backstory on Silesia, just to kind of give the threat more of a breath of life, you know what I mean? But that's really my only thing.
There's that one loophole that neither of us can really summate where the line even fits in.
Right.
In the first 15 minutes or so, when the helicopter drops.
Oh yeah,
the
farewell, sister of the
package.
Krakish. Yeah.
Sisters of the Krakish. That's still the only thing we can think of, is that is an entity that came from the portal but wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, the star was too far away, so the atmosphere, like, they said atmospheric degradation, so it like crusted up in the atmosphere and probably burnt to death. But yeah, Sister of the Krakish, that was the one thing we couldn't really ever figure out. And I feel like that's Brendan Small's style, is that like, yes, he's going to give you an ending, but you're still going to have a question or two, and you're going to have to go back and like kind of do your own research, because I went back and rewatched everything after this, and you kind of get another opinion of things after that. So I think it holds up, and it holds up for different reasons. But that Salacia origin, that's like my only nitpick. I think the album is a breath of fresh air for Deathclock. It's something that was the natural evolution. You can kind of feel it. Like they're using all these tools they've learned in 1 through 3 and used, and they're adding more to it, which is just what Deathclock does. It just keeps getting more intricate as it goes on. From Death Album 1 to even Death Album 2, there's such a huge progression in quality and style and intricacy that it's almost the natural evolution that they're going to keep that, but use simplistic songs like Deadface in the highest of you know, I guess uses. Like it's just such a powerful song. So I love the album as well as the movie. I'm still fangirling over it months later, man.
Same. It's the beauty about the album. It doesn't feel like the same album over and over. And it also has a conclusion with Mermaider 3. And then that sucker threw in a 7th string on 2 songs.
Which is
So
welcome.
That's my deepness, you know.
Yeah, it just keeps getting juicier and juicier. And honestly, I know Brendan says he doesn't have any plans, nice, for a continuation, but I think Deathclock could keep making music. Like, I think that could keep going. I don't see Deathclock stopping anytime soon with music because he knows he has something and people still love it. So if he just keeps adapting it and there's enough in the music, then maybe he could do more with the actual show. So it's like one feeds the other, but I think the music has the most potential to keep going right now. So
there's truth in that for sure, I think. Obviously, like I said, they're on tour again. So, I mean, as long as that keeps making them money, there's no reason to stop. And the questions will always subside. Like, if it's the burden that you kind of have to bear from doing this, I would imagine, for being Brendan, I would guess that if you're going to continue to do it, you're going to continue to get questions of where's the next show then, where's the more episodes. But it doesn't have to be that. I really don't. And I think a lot of people that are true fans understand that. So you're always going to have it. And again, it's like anything else. If you have haters, that means you're probably doing it right, because that means you're big enough to have people ask questions, then be like, "Oh, fuck it, then." But like, I could see the music lasting longer than the show at this point, and then you'll always have that on wax to be a cult classic. That, well, as long as him and Gene or however they want to do it, because they are a faceless band, because there's the cartoon. As long as the sound is there and you hire the right people, I mean, like anything else, you can continue to do it.
Yeah.
And mini insight. So we ended up going to see a couple days after Deathclock. We went to go to Iowa and saw the Who. Playing at some hotel and they were fucking rad. And I was at the merch line for the Who and got a bandana. And we're talking to the merch guy, and he's like, Deathclock? Yeah, I got a friend who worked that show the other night. $250,000 in merch.
Let's go.
I believe it. There was a line the entire fucking show, bro. Yeah, you better believe it.
Oh, yeah.
They're making bang.
He is right.
That's crazy.
If that money machine's a turning, there's no reason to stop churning. Next question. Sorry.
Well, Deathcast has been growing a lot since the last time we talked together, and I'm not just talking in terms of audience growth. I mean, the universe itself is expanding at such a rapid rate. You guys are putting out new shows left and right, like Church of the Black Clock and Death Lab 420, which, spoiler alert for everyone listening, go check out episode 2 if you haven't already, because you might hear a familiar voice. But anyways, I'm sure you guys have answered these questions in your Discord server already, but for those listening who maybe aren't a part of the server, you should join it, by the way. What's your inspiration behind extending the Deathcast Universe, or DKU? And also, going forward, I know you can't spoil a lot, but I want to try and at least get some information. What are your future plans for these shows? Like, what's the next year going to look like, if you can give everyone the scoop? A little something.
Okay, we could probably give a little something away.
Lucian, this one's for you. To
answer the first part, sure. Death Lab 420 was the first spinoff, and that initially started because we saw a huge uptick in popularity in that character on Twitter, on socials, random places. The character has his own Twitter. Go follow him, and you can follow all our characters too. But he got this weird cult following like almost instantaneously with the kinds of scenes he was doing, because they were just like so off the wall. Like, just so fucking weird, and like things I could never imagine. You know what I mean? For as eloquent as Tom writes, Tom Woods, who plays 420, writes just as elegant, but like chaotic and just like weird as like I've had to rein him in a couple times.
His production quality is
bar none. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, for sure. Everyone should know that every time you're hearing a 420 Labs or a 420 skit, we're not doing any of that. That is all Tom. Tom is producing everything. He's doing most of the voices. He's really the 100% driving factor behind that show specifically. Like, we wanted to just dive into his world more, get to know him more. What are the weird things 420 does? Who are the other Klokateers and side characters that he talks to, and what goes on with him in 26? So that was an immediate, like, we need to jump on this, because if Tom can make these production quality scenes that are like 10 to 20 minutes long, he should have his own outlet for that. So we immediately jumped on that. Church of the Black Clock, Nadine, who is a longtime Discord member and Deathcast member, she was like, you know, I kind of want to do something myself, and kind of stepped up to the plate. And I said, well, you know, we were kind of thinking of doing something with the church. We had this Twitter handle forever for a possible show in the future, because we didn't know where the movie was going. And we were like, let's have a backup plan in case we need to change our show to fit a different narrative. So the backup plan was initially for Deathcast to turn into Church to the Black Clock. But we were like, no, let's keep Deathcast going. This train can't stop. Let's add to it. And now that's basically a show where you're sitting in on sermons at the Church of the Black Clock, and there's all these people fucking chiming in and being goofballs, and funny stories being told about times that we're learning about from the documentary, but as sermons. So that's a really fun show. If you're a Deathcast fan at all, I would highly encourage you to add the Deathcast playlist on Spotify or SoundCloud, or even find it on Apple Music. It's on there too. And as soon as we can get all these things up and running, the plan is to have all shows being put on YouTube in a semi-animated style. So you can look forward to that as well. As far as what's going on in the future with these shows, what I can tell you is that Death Lab 420 will become something that I could say is otherworldly. And there is talk of crossover shows. So these shows are going to live within each other at a certain point. And you might hear a scene on one show, and then you might hear it from another perspective on another show. So we're having a bunch of talks about doing some stuff like that soon, and I can't wait, dude.
I would say that, yeah, and I would say as well, I guess if there's anything that, I don't even think it would be a spoiler by any means, because we know that we're going to, like what we said at the very beginning, kind of tackle the end of our story and tackle the end of the movie, so we can give finality to a series the way that the series did, so we can do the right honor to it, I suppose. But continuing forward, now that we have these spin-off series, like you said, I was like, this is for you. Like, I got too much under my hair. Like, Tom Woods is more than happy to write his own stuff, like we've mentioned, so he kind of brings those to us, along with Tom that we have here, that has always been a spark of inspiration, be like, what if you went in this direction? And Nadine, again, essentially, because she is just like a voice actor with a lot of questions and like a lot of love, essentially, is really what it boils down to. Then our Tom here really helps her develop a lot of that show, as far as I understand, because really, I'm hands off. I don't but like
47 is a conceptual guy who's just like, give me the big picture. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're the big picture guy for this show, pretty much. For most of our shows, is like, I'll run stuff by you all the time and just be like, what do you think? You know what I mean? I just want to get you, what would 47 think about this?
Getting into the nitty gritty creativity is a little bit like, I mean, like I'm more than willing to with a lot of stuff, but I'm a firm believer in too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes, and so it makes my life easier half the time too, to also be like, the Discord's going off in the script section where there's people just like typing left and right. I'm like, you know what? All of this looks cool, but I'm not going to say anything because I just want to see. And for real though, like it's ease of mind, but it's also because I entirely trust our team at this point. If you want to, because I believe we're a team, and like every one of us has the interest of the show and what works well or not in mind. So I wouldn't say it's a spoiler, but like I said, since we're gonna continue with regular Deathcast episodes after what the story has given us, there's really no general direction we have now, and we're lucky enough to have that with the other two shows that allow us to write in 3 different creative ways to produce things that will earnestly at one point probably bounce off of each other, where we've never mentioned the Church of the Black Clock in the Deathcast episodes as to this far, and to be honest, again, to give you a little we haven't during the rest of this episode either, or anything we've written. It doesn't mean that we won't in the future, like you said, and that's definitely something we've brought up as we'd like to start seeing some more crossover, because at that point it's always it's fun. We in Lucian of like kind of the way that we are with all of our pop culture stuff. I love when you see things weave together. Just to be a dork, one of my favorite theories is that the Doomslayer from Doom is a direct great great grandson of the Blazkowicz guy from the Wolfenstein games, because that's an ID produced thing. So like id Software, like it's never been put on paper, but it's implied in these universes where Alan Wake, another video game that just came out this past year, it is confirmed that they're within the Control video game universe as well, because it's the same production company, Remedy, that does that. That's very much... I'm a big dork. I love video games, and I love those tie-ins where you get like the oh fuck that's that kind of thing. Like so, but I know Lucian shares that love with me, and as we write things, I don't want to say it's been like the biggest inspiration, but for right now, where we want to go in the future is it'd be really cool to tie all 3 of these series together in a loose fashion where it's obviously implied that we all are aware of our existences at the same time and they live within the same universe. And it's an easy tie-in, again, because it's the same, essentially, like IP all the way through. It's not like 2 different games but it is. Like, it's 2 different games from the same developer in this regard. And the bigger that we get, ideally, it'd be really cool. Now that we're there at our liberty, it's going to be a big challenge. We're going to rely a lot on Tom here to help us with his creativity to make us now. It's on our own. We're completely, boots to the ground, do what we want to do, because we've been relying on a format and the creativity that's around that universe and the style and the aesthetic and the feel and the vibe. Essentially, the best way I can put it is the vibe of what the Death Clock universe is. But being there now, I can promise fans, both of the show and of our series, that we're going to honor that. Like, it's what we're going to do. We started this because we're fans of the show, and we're going to continue it just strictly because we love the fucking show. And so anything we do, we'll keep the same humor, we'll keep the same focus, the same homage. That was what we need to do. But now it's us, baby, and I'm excited. I really don't have much more for you than that, because we're worried about getting this next episode out, and the conclusion is the conclusion. So what we do after that's, who fucking knows? And I'm excited, man.
I'm excited to smash the format, because it's not a bad format, and not to say that we're going to toss the baby out with the bathwater.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like, now we don't have to don't have to do the podcast for the show anymore. So you can do what we want.
And there are still so many other characters to pull from that can feel just as in universe as if we were still following that, the initial format.
There was a unlimited million number of Klokateers even throughout the show when you see them in waves. So like, we'll never run out of interviews. I mean, that's a guarantee. We'll never run out of people that we can grab from lore that we just haven't already done for one reason or another. We can do even deeper cuts, or just, again, now, like in this case, make things up with the God's good grace kind of thing, as long as we're allowed to. Which, I mean, I won't even say like allowed, because we've had no pushback.
Are in play. Kaiju are in play.
100%, brother. But
sorry, I had to go take a call, and it might or might not have to do with Deathcast.
oh,
So all I'm gonna say.
very cool. Well, yeah, no, we were just wrapping it up. Essentially, what I was really telling him to nutshell it, because everybody already listened, was that, like, dude, we're free reign from here. So whatever we want to do, we'll hold the truce that we need to make it as close to DETHKAST Universe as we can, and make it the same humor and the same brand, because that's why we're doing it. But yeah, Zero,
for sure.
Did you have any other stuff you wanted to ask us to while we're going forward here, bud?
Oh yeah, I got a little bit extra time. I'm good right now. So
Cool.
I guess I kind of want to talk about the extended universe just a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
I guess besides those two spinoffs, and I know you guys probably can't answer this question as of now because the timing probably isn't right, but are you starting to think a little bit about other potential spinoffs in the distant future after you've wrapped up the Doomstar saga?
Are we talking spinoffs from Deathcast or?
Yeah, spinoffs from
I don't know.
Deathcast.
I mean, I think the sky's the limit. I think if we were presented with another character
Let me
that we
turn this
knew
around.
would sell.
Do you have any ideas, Zero?
Yeah, Zero.
Let me go get my filing cabinet and just lug it over here real quickly. I mean,
Open to suggestions.
I have some ideas. Maybe I could pitch them one of these days when I get a free chance to, write everything out. I'm sure there's tons of other listeners who have ideas as well, which if you do have ideas, join their Discord server and leave them some suggestions.
Yeah, for sure. Discord.gg/theweeklygeekly.
Yeah, but, we'll see what happens.
We're on the bottom of the screen. It'd be there.
You're trying to be spoiler free. I see you.
All right.
So only sometimes.
Well,
Yeah, but to answer your question, we do think that extending the universe is a good thing, and if we have another idea that comes up, someone pitches us an idea, or we come up with something that works, and we think it's going to add to the world and the universe we want to build, then hell yeah, dude. Like, again, just
And
like
there is one thing that I just need to lock the door, feed the cats well ahead of time, and make it fucking happen. But we agreed on something back in Omaha, and that's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
hell yeah.
So there is
plenty
others.
of stuff cooking. So just stay tuned, and I think you're going to be happy with what you see, man.
All right. Well, I got a couple more for you guys. I won't take up too much more of your time, but
Sure.
fine.
Deathkast, as we talked about before, it's grown so much. In fact, it's grown into much more than just a podcast. I would say it's like a family or a community of wonderful people, gears, if you will. Hell, even Lucian, you found your wife in this very community.
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you guys created such a safe space for Metalocalypse geeks like me and everyone else that's listening?
For me, it's kind of shocking because I didn't ever see it becoming something like this. But it kind of became one of those things where it's like, if we want this to be successful, it's got to become more than a show. And we got to actually like find people that have this same love that we have and share it with them. And the more we did that is the more that we just naturally kind of became friends with people. And the more we became friends with people is the better things got production wise. Like the skits got better, the humor got better. It felt more natural. Things weren't as forced as episode 1 was. Like everything became a little more fluid because we were this cohesive unit, and we still are. And I think that is all because we've become a community, and that's all because we can trust each other and we can come to each other if we want to talk about shit. And if we're excited about ideas, we know exactly who we're going to talk to about it to like fuel that creative fire. So it's it's kind of weird. I never thought it would happen, but I'm so grateful for it. So
That's truth, man.
Well, I've always been a fan of the idea that metalheads are the kindest people.
right.
You have to be. If you love murder, mayhem, slaughter, all this other stuff that is the story writing behind metal music, every show, if I see a kid, or I was the kid thrown down on the floor in the pit, 99% of the time, there's two big-ass dudes that are just like, get them up and get them out of the way. Nobody is there to be an asshole.
Right.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, I'm the first person. That's literally what I was about to say. Is like the metal community is exactly something that everyone looks at us as like, well, big tattooed dickheads. whether you're a man, woman, or young or old, it doesn't matter. Like, we look rough, we look tough, but yeah, we'll throw down in the pit. But we're also the first people. As soon as someone goes down, they're going to pick you up. As soon as I see a kid down in the pit, I'm either going to make sure they're all right, and so will everybody else, or I'm going to grab them so I can put them on my shoulders and put them up towards the front, and so they get to see a giant artist who's always going to be like, oh fuck yeah, because there's a kid right there in the front. Like, we're all big sweethearts deep down. And when you're asked, like, what does it feel like to be able to do something that brings everyone together, I'll be honest, as we said in the first Behind Deathcast, I was skeptical. When Lucian came to me a couple of years ago and was like, I really want to make like a cartoon podcast in the universe of Death Clock, my first question was, why? Like, why? Like, it's been gone for years. There was the live stream of them taking a fax machine and throwing it into a trash can in a shredder of anybody that was asking for them to bring the show back. So that, I mean, like, and granted, yeah, that's like almost a meme in this community at that point. But I mean, like, I was literally hyped. I watched the stream and I watched my dreams go in the trash. Like, so I mean, like, you can call me jaded, but I very much, like he said, I'm the big picture guy. I'm lots of, like, I might not be on every episode of the Geekly, but I'm involved in every one of them one way or another, because Lucian comes to me to ask me production questions and like, hey, where should the next route we should go? And I'm not always the voice, but I'm always part of, hey, like, this is what I think we should do and this is the direction we should go. And when he asked me originally, I was a bit skeptical, but that's just the manager in me, I guess. And as soon, it only took a phone call's conversation for me to be like, all right, I think you have something here. Yeah, you're right, man. Like, you're absolutely right. And there seems to be a fan base, and fuck it, we're already making podcasts. What's the harm? Like, what's this going to cost us? Nothing.
It's
nothing but fun.
An afternoon of fun. Yeah,
but
and
here comes the sentimental part. It's what we've gained. Like, it's all the people, all the love, the fact that you've gotten a Deathcast tattoo and a Gears tattoo, that, like, we've met people from Brazil to Ireland to Asia, like all the way across Japan, from all over America. All these people that, whether they stay in the Discord or not, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
At this point,
it's wild.
It's not the most popular thing, because Zero, let me toot you for a moment, man. Like, when my wife was like, hey, you got a podcast? And I was like, not just a podcast. I have something that, like, this fella's got hundreds of thousands of views on multiple things he puts out. And she was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm a big deal. You understand, Wade? But like, ours alone is the first one went, like, low key viral. It really became organic, and we've gotten almost about 15,000 views on the first animated one alone. Then you add all the listens in, and it's become something that we're very proud of. And every band that I've been a part of doesn't have a 20,000 listen song at this point. So, like, I'm just being honest. Like, but that's a big bar. That's like the threshold where you break through. And to be inside baseball, like, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you, Zero, for having your platform and being willing to do this stuff with us and being a giant part of this family too. Bro, we met you because of this. I don't know any other famous YouTubers. You're the fucking man. Like, having this, if you want me to answer your question, I'll say the same thing Lucian did. It's surreal. Like, it's surprising. Like, we're doing something that is out of love, out of something that we love as an IP, we love as a brand. It's something that everybody, even as simple as remembering playing Thunder Horse on Guitar Hero, like we all know, like there's so many people that are familiar with this. And the fact that we're on our Discord right now, just chatting with people that I've never met personally, except once. Like, this is one of the coolest fucking things that we could possibly be doing out of this. And I'm just happy I'm on board. Thanks.
That was great. I love that. That was really great. It's been wild, man. I think we're all just super grateful for this community in the long and short of it. Like, I don't know. It saved me plenty of times from just like tearing my hair out to just talk to Tom or talk to anybody from the community and just like also just not talk about Deathcast for a while and just talk about our lives. So that's been a really cool for me too.
I appreciate
because it's all about being there, bigger than the show, and you're part of the show now.
100%.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, Zero, you're one of us.
You're stuck.
Join the cult.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I always appreciate the kind words, and you guys build my self-esteem up. So thank you.
Aw,
You're the man, dude.
We love you guys too. God, where do we go from here? I mean, anyone that's listening right now, obviously, we just talked about YouTube and stuff. You might know me from YouTube, or you might be familiar with my Iceberg content. In fact, there's a decent chance you may have found Deathcast or the Weekly Geekly through my first Metalocalypse Iceberg, keyword first, wink, wink. You might have also heard Lucian's voice on a couple of my projects. I heard a little rumor, that there was potentially a Deathcast Iceberg slowly being developed. I don't know if you guys can confirm, deny, or elaborate on that rumor a little bit.
Leader confirmed.
Yeah, we're totally doing an iceberg with you. We've been talking about this with Zero for a little bit, and it's been on the back burner for like the last 8 months just because we've been getting all of the other DKU shows out. DETHKAST Universe, I'm coining that phrase. But yeah, I totally would want to do an iceberg, because just like the fun facts about like the 666 weeks, stuff like that needs to be documented. Like all of the cool, crazy coincidences and stuff that actually lined up with the show without us trying to, like that stuff and all the references, dude. Yeah, we're totally doing an iceberg.
We're going to get Ryan on this. We have an
Here's a
intern.
fun
We
one.
love him.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. When Lucian and I were on the road somewhere in Omaha, you were just blaring Dragon Force, talking about how much you love Dragon Force. And I was like, yeah, that would be a good show.
Guess what? Here we are, man.
Here we are.
Manifested it, bitch.
I know. It's crazy. It's like we have that weird power of like loving something so much and then like having crazy off the wall ideas that like one of our ideas actually happens or like is part of something and we didn't see it coming. Like there's been so many things that have tied around the Deathcast that I think iceberg is not only appropriate, but it's necessary. Like I want people to fully understand all of the crazy shit that's happened from this show and like stuff from the show and not from the show that just has to do with it, just everything. So Zero, if you want to help me, we could tag team that thing.
Oh, definitely. Let's get everybody on board. Let's do it. It's going to be
so
such
look
a
forward.
Project.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, but it's going to take a lot of manpower. But luckily, we have a new intern, Ryan, and he's a fucking boss, like Dusty said. So we're going to get him on that.
Shout out Ryan.
Shout out Ryan. Good guy.
Ryan.
Oh, and also, I do have to say this because I know we're in the last couple questions here. Before we wrap, my wife would kill me if she didn't hear me say that she loves you. She loves the work. She can't wait to do the Courage the Cowardly Dog iceberg if that's still on the table. Definitely. And she listens to everything you do, and it's just every time a ZeroOmens like video comes out, she's like, "We got to watch this," and I'm like, "I'm working. I'll watch it later."
I know the guy.
She's like,
it's fine.
She's sitting up in bed and like watching it, and like, yeah, she loves your shit, man. So keep doing what you're doing. You're making a lot of people happy, brother.
Dude, and for real, like I was when he. It was a birthday present of Lucian's. It was on his birthday when like that became noticed.
That's when you released that video
that had us in it. And more than that, I'm a big Adult Swim fan, and again, this whole podcast is tooting our own horns, but I was lucky enough with another guy on our podcast, Nate, that we've interviewed Carrie Means, we've interviewed Frylock twice now on the show, and we got him on a presser tour when he called out when he was doing press for the Plantasm movie that came out, and so like I've definitely seen all of your adult content, like Adult Swim content before, and so. Again, I could reiterate the whole speech I just did earlier, but it's just the world's too fucking small, especially with the internet.
Keep fucking doing what you're doing. Zero, I'll make you a guarantee. If you keep making Zero Omens content, we're going to keep making Deathcast in some way or another.
You're our muse,
even if
bud.
it's a different show in the universe or we continue in a different way, who knows? I don't want to spoil anything for the DKU after Doomstar, but like we said before, we do have some plans for continuation. They're very loose right now. They're very rustic plans. They're not filled out, but we have kind of a slow beginnings to some ideas of where this world could go. So yeah, it's all about meetings. 1,000 Discord meetings a week, and we'll get it done.
Well,
but you have to remember, we're trying to do all this globally.
Yeah, that's so true.
We are actually trying to, like, every time we try and plan a meeting, it's like, wait,
what time?
We're just going to call Central Lucian time. We're going to call it Lucian Central.
Yes, Lucian Central, because we're lucky enough that we're in the same city. But yeah, I mean, like Tom Woods is in San Francisco. You're in Arkansas.
Nope. Yeah, he is.
Ryan's in.
Luckily, we're on the same.
Indiana. I know.
Yeah, we're on the same.
Jack Rance is in Ireland or something like that. Like it's all over.
Real Music's in Scotland. Nadine's in Brazil. So like the Scotland, Ireland crew, they have a whole nother time zone. We have to do like morning meetings for them sometimes.
Brazil's on Nova Scotia time.
It's a whole production. Like it takes so much planning, but we've gotten a lot better at it. I think one thing that's kind of changed since we started doing this together is like not only have me and Dustin just gotten this shorthand with each other to where we can like improv off of each other a lot easier than we used to be able to, but like creatively and constructively we've gotten better at planning things and staying ahead of stuff, and like I know in the next month where we're going to be with Deathcast, so like 100%. That is so nice to like have that kind of a trail ahead of us.
And we're lucky enough that it happens in person half the time too. Like we have to do our podcast alone, and then like usually, I mean, we play in the same band together, and we hang out at least twice a week, like in person, minus all the bullshit we have to deal with in a good way. I mean, bullshit with love that we deal with on Discord and like doing emails and that kind of stuff and working together. And so half the time when we're like, you know, it'd be cool is when we're just like, 4 Coors Lights deep after practice on Mondays and be like, we should make another spin-off. You know what I mean? Like, but things like that. Where like a lot of our talk happens in person because we're lucky enough to both be in Omaha. But like, that's how it happened. I've known this fucking guy since high school. Whereas I was a freshman when I met him. So like,
it's been a journey, man, and I'm happy it's going the way it's going. Me and Dusty just create shit together. That's what we do.
That's in our entire friendship. Is just he was the singer in our first band that we were in high school, and then. Like I said, we did that because of being in high school, and then through college and after that band stopped being a thing just because it was a high school band that was honestly doing pretty well, but like just things happened. Then years and years and years later, when I'm playing in this band Molten here in Omaha, and like with just playing dive bars and fucking around, then we start to get some notoriety. Our singer at that time, he just had other aspirations. He moved on, and I was like, now hear me out. I got a guy. He hasn't done shit in like 10 years, but I got a guy. And now
it just happened to work.
Yeah. We just, like I said, just bragging about ourselves a little bit more. Like I said, we just came off of playing Exodus show from the Bay Area that I got a signed poster on my wall over here that
that was fun.
See, but
that's probably one of the biggest shows we played.
We had 1,000 people in that bitch. Swear to God.
Yeah,
swear to God.
Was great.
We had 1,000 people in the front of that crowd at the Slowdown downtown in Omaha. It was on the main stage, like full like from front to back, like filled out, and that was the biggest show that Molten's played to date. And I just think it's because of the chemistry we have now too. Not taking away from what we're doing for this main interview, but I've known this guy a long time, time.
It's all about chemistry, man, and that really is the secret ingredient to Deathcast is don't work with people you don't like. Work with people that you love. Work with people that you like. Work with people that you get along with, and you can actually have those conversations constructively with. And that's the big recipe for Deathcast.
That's it.
Words of wisdom.
Well, shit, man. I got more time, but you got anything
any
else?
final questions for us?
Buddy's got to go in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with one final question.
Okay.
All right. This is the big one. I've been waiting for this one. I figured we'd wrap up behind Deathcast 2 the same way we ended the first one. The last time we all talked, I asked you guys whether or not you would be interested in making more Adult Swim-based content, like alternate podcasts set within other TV shows like The Venture Bros or Aqua Teen. And it was very interesting to hear some of your ideas and thoughts. Like, I remember the idea of a henchman-based series being tossed around, or potentially a series that focuses on Carl's other neighbor. Now, from what I remember, Lucian, you said that you wanted to metaphorically ride the horse out, the horse being Deathcast, and see where you're at in another year. Now, I personally don't expect you guys to make any sort of announcement now regarding a new series or idea in the same vein as Deathcast, but based on another Adult Swim property, especially since you guys are already hard at work on Deathcast, the spinoffs, music, your personal lives, all of that. But have there been any developments regarding a new series or other potential Adult Swim-based content in the last 365 days? Maybe some new ideas? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that.
So as of right now, there are no current plans. I'm open to it, and I'm kind of in this mindset where I would really like to explore the idea of finding another property that we can use this way and open up to a bigger universe. I don't know what it would be. I've never really gotten too big into Venture Bros outside of a few key moments, which is just a stylistic choice for me. It's nothing personal to the show. But there are little like ideas always floating around in my head, and I'm always trying to gauge whether they're worth it or not. And so far, I haven't really found much in just Adult Swim. I kind of want to look a little bit outside of Adult Swim too, and maybe find and just kind of broaden the search, because I think this formula works well for this show, but we might find a show in a similar situation, or starving for some kind of fan content that we could fill that void for. So I'm not going to close the door. Like last time, I was a little more dismissive of the idea. Now with another year under our belt and approaching the second year of Deathcast being completed, I'm open to it. I think it would take someone having a pitch to me and having to pitch me their idea and it going like flawlessly for me to want to do it, because I can poke holes in the story. So that's what I do. I go, well, continuity here doesn't make sense. Someone's going to pick that apart and destroy you in the comments. So you got to work on that. You know what I mean? So if someone has an idea and they want to pitch it, I'd be down to work with them on it. As far as me having ideas, I'm always on the lookout for inspiration. I do have to be careful though, because it's like the more attention I give away from Deathcast, the more we will slow down or we could lack in certain things. So I'm open to it, but I would say after Doomstar Saga is when I would be more open to hearing those ideas, because that's when we're going to have a little bit more time to breathe, because this last episode, it's going to be the big, huge hoorah finale of the Metalocalypse content. So we want to spend so much time getting that done right and doing all the service we need to and coming full circle on some ideas and really letting some of these characters shine. So once that mission is completed, I'm open to having that discussion.
Okay, that's fair.
And there's just, I got a long list of bullet points, and the bullet points will eventually be able to connect.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty much it.
That's really what it boils down to.
I'm a big fan of a lot of the shows on the Adult Swim Network, and I know that a lot of them have just of a diehardest community. But the real reason that we've stuck with Death Clock so specifically is just because, again, really it's the music, like how cult, like classic following, sure, of course, but they're on Adult Swim. I can't think of another thing that, like I said, just specifically because of the concert series and the live music that they have and the albums and them branching out so much that it's not like I wouldn't be willing to do a passion project for another fan base that I love just as much, because I'm a huge Aqua Teen guy and like all that kind of stuff too. But it's just that, like I said, specifically there's still $250,000 worth of merch being sold at these shows, and like tens of thousands of people are packing in arenas for the music, much less rewatching the show, and then also having the following of the movie. So like, it's not that like it's not a business decision that doesn't make sense, because this is a labor of love that we do anyways.
Yeah.
But like he said too, taking away from the show will take less time to this show, and having if we could hire people, if we can get the right people in place, we'd be more than happy to be like creative inspirations. Like you said, if we can pitch us something that, if y'all got ideas out there and you want to pitch us something, or you'd really love to see this or that, and could really find a way to write it and actually be prominent in meetings. It takes a lot to write scripts. I mean, like I said, it's been months since we've done this, because it takes months to write it and do it and produce it and then edit it, and just like making YouTube videos, it is what it is. So when you're not just a team of one, when you're a team of at minimum 5 to 7 voice actors usually per show, and then a couple like managers and script writers, to get something of this quality would take a lot of time. And it just really, like he said, sits in this vein because of how big Death Clock really is and how much it matters. But to say shortly with I'd love to. That sounds like I've had a blast getting back into doing this kind of acting and this kind of stuff. So would be more than open to it. It's got to be worth it, and it can't take away from what we already do. And the Venture Bros and the Aquatoon would both be great spots for that.
Oh, for sure.
And it's got to have something, like I would love to do a Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, keep it in the Lauren Bouchard-verse, but
yes,
it ended perfectly. It doesn't need any more.
That's the thing. Some things don't need that treatment. Metalocalypse was in desperate need of some fan fiction for so long, and some kind of idea, and that we fit that glove perfectly. So if the new idea fits like a glove, and I see the truth, I see the reason for it, then hell yeah, dude, let's pull the trigger. But yeah, I think it's going to be some time until we make that connection again, because it's not a once in a lifetime thing, but it's pretty damn close. Like I think Deathcast is. So
truth.
Okay. All right. Well, let me hit you guys with one rapid fire bonus question, because I know some people are going to kill me if I don't ask this. But you guys had some pretty cool celebrities to shout out the show for your intros, including Gene Hoglan, and I was just curious, who's next?
Oh yeah, and Malcolm McDowell. Fuck yeah,
Malcolm, of course, can't forget him.
I would probably I'll go ahead and fucking say it now. Brian Posen is the one I want, the voice of Mjolnir Fjordsen. And I think yes, and getting him to say that and do a Deathcast intro, I think that's the next one I want to get. I'm trying to get it for Doomstar, so hopefully we can get that. And I might.
And he's active now, because his, not to plug another podcast, but his D&D podcast just started their 6th campaign.
Oh yeah, I saw Brendan shared that. It's called Nerd Poker. Yeah, I want to check that out. So that would probably be the next one. So look forward to hearing his voice shout the show out soon.
Awesome. Right. That's news to me, and I'm stoked.
Exclusive.
You heard it here first. Well, that's all I got for you guys. That's all my questions. I think I ran through everything.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate you guys having me on again, and I had a blast. And hell, maybe 1 year from now we can do a Behind Deathcast Part 3, pending if everybody listening enjoys this one.
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening to just a little bit of behind of it, and kind of catching up with what we're doing. I'd love to do this again, and the more content comes out, like honestly, the plan for it is by this time next year, you're gonna have so much Deathcast, you're not gonna know what to do with it. So
my little side project is on finally changed the name, because I got a chuckle out of Brendan when I said it. On Instagram, it's Off the Klokateer. So I will be posting more content.
With his hood on. Fuck yeah.
That's a proper gear hood.
Hell yeah. Boys, I gotta get back to work. Feel free to hang out if you want. I gotta get out of here.
All right, fuck off then. You're leaving me like you always do. You just fucking leave me here like you give a goddamn shit.
I'm sorry. Mordhouse needs me. I will play myself out. I love you, gentlemen. Thanks for this. I really needed this.
All right.
Of course.
I'm glad he's gone.
Right.
Can we actually do the show now? Fuck this guy.
Yeah, start the recording now. Let's.
All right, so when do we fire him?
Greetings! I'm Danny Filth of Cradle of Filth, and you're listening to the weekly Geekly.